Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Tropical Storm Nicole is crossing the Bahamas, likely to make landfall in Florida tonight. I'll show you how much rain we'll see here on Friday.
North Carolina Republicans went after a supermajority but fell just short. What the midterm election results mean in our state.
Also, a man jumps from the third floor of his burning apartment building. Now Raleigh police are searching for the cause of the fire.
People in Florida, meantime, are getting ready for Tropical Storm Nicole. Good Wednesday afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Parts of St. Johns County, which include the city of St. Augustine, are already experiencing flooding ahead of the storm. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has activated 600 guardsmen and 16,000 linemen to deal with power outages.
Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with where that storm is right now. Elizabeth.
It is moving across the northern part of the Bahamas, currently with winds at 70 miles per hour. We were expecting it to go ahead and reach hurricane strength, but now that it's moving over these islands, even though they're small, it can disrupt the storm and keep it from strengthening very quickly. It does have a little more time once it leaves the Bahamas to re-intensify to up to a hurricane strength. It has not reached hurricane strength yet, however, and there's so little time in between now and the time it makes landfall tonight that it's unlikely that it will reach hurricane strength. It's moving west at about 12 miles per hour. It makes landfall here north of Miami. Overnight tonight, it is likely to dump as much as 3 to 5 inches of rain with as much as 8-inch totals in some places. It's also likely to produce 3 to 5 feet of storm surge along that east coast of Florida. It will continue to move northward and then westward as a tropical depression across western North Carolina, but it's going to bring us some rain, as much as 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, and that's not likely to cause flooding here. But we are seeing, of course, the advisories, the alerts with this storm, a hurricane warning in purple, and then a tropical storm warning up into South Carolina. We're not likely to see a lot of major impacts along our coast because it is likely to track west toward the mountains. We are under a level 2 risk for severe storms for Friday. Isolated tornadoes are always possible on the right side of the center, so we have that possibility for Friday. We'll likely see 1 to 2 inches of rain, but that's rarely enough to cause flooding. We could see gusts up to 30 to 40 miles per hour, which could cause some isolated power outages, and we'll go over the timeline for the rain and the strong winds here coming up.
Turn our attention now to severe weather in the southeast. Tropical Storm Nicole is expected to make landfall along the Florida coast early tomorrow morning as a Category 1 hurricane. NBC's Kerry Sanders explains how people there are getting ready.
Good morning, guys. Look, you can see the Atlantic Ocean over my shoulder. It's kicking up. The winds are picking up. The commercial airports in the area, that's Orlando, Daytona Beach, Melbourne, they're either closed or will be closing because of the approaching tropical storm that may become a hurricane, Nicole. The big threat, of course, here is along the coast, coastal erosion. And as you take a look at some of these pictures just leading into the arrival of Nicole, you'll get a better understanding as to why Ian hammered this area and a lot of the coast was lost to the storm. At the same time, with the winds coming in, we have the threat to Artemis, okay? That rocket right now is sitting on the pad. It was supposed to launch on the 14th. It's now been pushed back to the 16th. It's designed to withstand winds of about 85 miles per hour, but the real threat is going to be the rain. So NASA has put out staff to triple check all the hatches to make sure that everything is sealed. Meantime, mandatory evacuations from Flagler County all the way down to Martin County. Those who live in coastal zone A have been told to leave. And as you saw from those pictures, the biggest threat, of course, with the coastal erosion is some of the buildings, it's feared by officials, could actually have their foundations undermined and they could collapse. So a lot of attention. Anybody in a mobile home told also to go inland to shelters, and then ultimately tourists in the area who might be caught off guard, they should also find out where those shelters are. They're open to everybody, not just residents, guys.
Kerry Sanders reporting for us this noon, and we have been paying close attention to this for days now. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, because just about every track shows it coming through our area.
That has been the case ever since it became a tropical system. So we are watching it sitting here, moving across the Bahamas right now. There's a slight possibility that it could become a hurricane, but it has winds at 70 miles per hour. The strongest winds that are forecast for this are 75-mile-per-hour winds. So it would be just a subtle difference. We are seeing the rain bands moving inland here across Florida right now. You can see that heavy surf that was off the that east coast of Florida as Keir Sanders was standing there. The storm, of course, will continue to move into Florida and then take a turn to the north and come across North Carolina. What we're watching next is a system that's back to the west. We have a cold front that's approaching Denver and Albuquerque. That's going to come sweeping through here by Friday and help to push that storm back off to the north and east. And that will help to have some impact on what will happen for us here in North Carolina. Let's go through Futurecast hour by hour here, starting off right now. And you can see the storm moving across the Bahamas. Most likely it makes landfall close to midnight or in the very wee hours tomorrow morning, spreading rain all the way across Florida at 3 to 5 inches with some totals up to 8 inches. It ends up here on the west coast of Florida, making that northerly turn, and then it starts to get kicked back to the northeast by the cold front. The cold front's also going to be interacting with all of this tropical moisture, bringing some heavy rain. So we shouldn't be surprised to see a lot of heavy rain through the middle of Tennessee up to the North Carolina mountains. Likely more there than we'll see here. Right now, we're just looking at 1 to 2 inches, but as this front moves through the mountains, it's going to help to kick that low up to the north, and we'll have some rain across our area, but again, it may not be as heavy as what we see in the mountains or even in East Tennessee. Here's 4 o'clock Friday, and you can see some lingering showers. The cold front swings on by midnight Saturday, or by midnight Friday, and by Saturday, we're dry. A little bit of cloud cover potentially by late Saturday as another system kind of swings by. That's the one that's going to open the door to some chilly air by the weekend, or by Sunday, I should say. Again, we do have that level 2 risk for severe storms for Friday. We have the potential for isolated tornadoes, 1 to 2 inches of rain, and winds gusting up to 40 miles per hour. We continue to watch the storm trending a little farther to the west. For us, 1 to 2 inches of rain and gusting 30 to 40 with the potential for some isolated power outages. It's actually a pretty nice day out there. We're seeing some breaks in the clouds right now. 64 degrees, our dew point of Pleasant 43. We're going to hold it here in the mid 60s. It is breezy, especially from Southern Pines to Fayetteville up toward Rocky Mount. We're seeing some gusts 20 to 25 miles per hour right now, and it'll stay breezy through the day. Winds die down a little bit around midnight, but we'll start to pick back up again tomorrow. Current temperature 59 in Roxborough, 65 in Fayetteville, and that's about what we'll end up seeing through the afternoon. We'll gain a few degrees by 3 or 4 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to see a bump up in temperatures Thursday and Friday with that flow coming out of the south with the tropical system, but behind that by Sunday and into all of next week and beyond, we have a good chance of below normal temperatures, and that's not just for us, but almost the entire country. So we go from 73 Friday to temperatures in the 50s for highs, overnight lows in the 30s. Coming up, we're going to talk a bit more about some of the specifics for us here, as well as the coast and the mountains. For Nicole.